one final film to talk about today, and one that I saw back in 2016. My God, 9 years ago, I saw Shin Godzilla at a special screening in theaters and did not know what to make of it.
Mhm.
It really kind of was a shock to me because the focus of the film, while Godzilla is a focus, first of all, a very different Godzilla, a more horror inspired Godzilla. It's dripping blood.
It's an evolving Godzilla.
It's an evolving creature. It starts as a sea creature, a crawling creature, evolving into a creature that stands upright, that is just, basically nuclear powered Godzilla. It's horrific. But the focus of the movie, while it's a very different Godzilla, the focus of Shin Godzilla, which at the time was a complete shocker. I didn't know how to think of this movie. And then the more I watched it, I bought it on digital years ago. I bought on digital. The focus of the movie is on the government response to Godzilla.
69.
So you have different bureaus and agencies, and the opening of the movie is deciding what room to keep having the meeting. They changed the meeting room 3 times. That this bureau in charge of this minister and the prime minister, we got to meet with the prime minister. We need experts. This movie is about the ridiculous and incompetent response of the government to a force of nature that is Godzilla. So while you see Godzilla in a way we've never seen him, in ways that are destructive, the behind the scenes of how the government responds to Godzilla borders on comedic. While the crisis is serious, the audience I saw it with, I didn't laugh in 2016 when I saw this in a theater. The audience that I saw it with last night, packed theater in Burbank, were laughing and chuckling. And when it's serious, it's very serious. But the ridiculousness of the incompetence of the prime minister, and then the second prime minister, because bad things happen, it's shocking and also funny. And how the Americans get involved, and the U.S. president, they have to think about global politics. They're already planning the reconstruction of, Japan after this event, how it will affect the economy. The things people talk about in Shin Godzilla, while this would seem to be real, if Godzilla did exist in the real world, these are the behind the scenes. We have to do a press conference. They have to prep for the press conference. This is Godzilla for adults, Godzilla as true horror. And it's also, in a way, a satire, much like I would compare to Dr. Strangelove. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove. Right. I don't know what you think of this movie. It's one of my favorite Godzilla movies. It's very different. It stands outside of any chronology or timeline. It's just a standalone Godzilla movie, and I love it. Can't recommend it enough. It's now in 4K. It looked beautiful on the screen, and I can't recommend it enough. It's right up there with Godzilla -1. Alan, what did you think of it? I want to talk later where the influence that led to why this movie was made. But Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, in terms of beautiful, it's a beautiful print, and 4K. Hadn't seen it. This is the first time I've seen it. I think overall I had a good time. I think the 2-hour runtime was a bit too long. Mm-hmm. I remember getting halfway through it and realizing, it's not over yet. And it just kind of trudged on. I think deep down, my ultimate conclusion is I like the experimental nature of this story, in the sense of, this is not how you normally tell a Godzilla movie. But to bring it to the ground, to say that, to watch people make decisions, kind of the background of it. What was that movie? Remember that TV movie a long time ago about a nuclear weapon going off? Or I don't know if you remember that movie.
The Day After?
The Day After. That was it. That's what this reminded me of. because it's not about the action that occurs above ground, but it's about all the decisions. It's very interesting, and like I say, I think the value to me of this movie is the thought experiment that was being. And the reason I mentioned this is I don't know that I necessarily want to see another one of these,
Right?
but I think I've seen the potential of I think there's a lot of thought going on behind it.
Yes.
I think the politics at the end bothered me a little bit. There's a decision of using certain weapons from the Americans.
Yes.
And
I'm like the optics of that.
Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna not do it because of the optics. And I'm like, is that how 6 people who lead the world make decisions, as opposed to making the choices needed to save the world. But yeah, so definitely worth watching, especially if you're a Godzilla fan, and also if you like these big kaiju monster movies. The perspective on it is interesting, because I remember I saw Shin Ultraman before this, and the 2 very different movies, handled kind of in the same way. But I like this one better than I did Shin Ultraman.
Yeah, this is much better than that. But
yeah,
let me get into. So you recommend it?
I do recommend it.
But what this movie is really about, it's a critique of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster, the nuclear meltdown that happened
from the tsunami, right?
Yeah, in March of 2011 in Japan. It's a critique of the government response to that disaster in Fukushima Daiichi. So, this is. I'm not reading into it. This has been talked about by a lot of people. So that's what this is about. It's in a way a critique of the government response and how they cared more about optics, how things looked, press conferences, than doing the right thing for the people. And the bloated government of Japan, this showed the incompetent, bloated government of Japan, showing how they reacted to things. They cared more about how things looked than actually doing what's right for the people and saving people. And mobilizing, and we got to talk to this head of this organization, and
worse, letting the Americans get involved.
Yeah, let the Americans and the other global forces kind of control their destiny. And what happens is the government is in shambles, gets basically gets worn down to a lower level guy. Now has maybe a shot at being the prime minister. In soon. Because of his actions, and maybe the bloated people who care more about politics and how they look, maybe those people will fade away and better people will come in governance, to make quicker and smarter decisions. So I love this movie. I remember at the time being very, very confused about the film and what it was trying to say. And it's really holds up. And I will say, the audience that saw it loved it. They knew it was okay to laugh. But at the time, I think the only line that made me laugh was the girl says, "Where's there a Zara?" They mentioned Zara in it. And everybody laughs out loud. Like, she needs clothes. Is there a Zara close? Like, what's really going on, behind the scenes when government is having to deal with a crisis? We had the fires in January in Los Angeles. Someone make a comedy about how the fires in Los Angeles, maybe not directly about the fires, but about, maybe you have a character that's sort of a smaller black woman with glasses based on Mayor Karen Bass. Maybe a guy that's sort of a slick guy who looks like American Psycho. How they horribly handled everything.
You don't need to make a comedy, just make the documentary and it'll be a comedy.
Yeah, I'll say that, I think it's very brave and bold to make a movie like this, 5 years after that nuclear meltdown.
And to be critical of the government for it.
Why can't we be critical and not choosing a side? Yeah, put that aside. I'm tired of left, right, this side of the aisle, that side of the aisle. A critique of it, open-minded, not caring about your team. living through the fires, and I was not really affected all that much by the fires in LA, but my God, someone needs to Shin Godzilla current politics, because we are dealing with really unimpressive people. And that's what this movie is about. The unimpressive people in government and how things really work behind the scenes. If a force of nature, a thing called Godzilla, emerges, and what are the discussions they really have? And this nails it. It's a satire bordering on comedy, like on the level of Doctor Strangelove. So strong recommend for Shin Godzilla, and please make another movie like this if anyone in the entertainment industry is listening. Any other final thoughts, Alan, before we
I'll give you my one criticism. This movie moves at a mile a minute, and the edits and the cuts are fast. It's an ADD's dream. Let's put it that way. So much so that there are title plates with a lot of text on it, and there's no way for you to read it.
It goes so quick. And I love when they introduce, like, there'll be the minister of public affairs, like they introduce they show how ridiculous it is.
Yeah. And to the point of, I'm not saying that everyone on screen looks alike, but they look alike, and I'm having a hard time remembering who was what role and what role was this and what role was that.
Once the guy, the lead guy emerges, then there's a guy, he has kind of a guy that helps him who has a lisp. Mm-hmm. Like, he's like, oh, I know the person in France. I got a back door to France, like, and they're a nuclear power. We'll get them on our side.
And the hot Japanese liaison.
The hot U.S. Japanese liaison whose grandmother is from Japan. Like, she has roots in Japan. Like, it was all like, there are people who emerge. It is sort of a blur because there's so many characters, but then you see the ones emerge. It's fantastic.
Once it settles in, it's easy to follow. But right up front, there's so much going. So many people to introduce.
Yeah, and this isn't Godzilla -1. That is very different. This is a very different from that, and there's parts of this that even feel documentary like, but my God, I loved it. I'll go see it again, and I own both versions, dubbed and subbed. I just bought it. I bought it. I'm a consumer.
How's it dubbed?
Not great. Not great. So, but strong recommend from both of us.
Absolutely.